we have to do a better job of highlighting what success in tech looks like for our folks in our communities. There are a number of programs that are supporting, again, the growth of more inclusive entrepreneurial ecosystems, and we're looking to play our role in that. And the young people of today need to be inspired and need to see this as a viable option. And there's some amazing people out here doing it.
Today on Her Power Hustle, we're talking diversity in tech, startups, and embarrassing launches with Jason Towns of CODE2040. Let's go.
Welcome to the Her Power Hustle podcast with your host, Michelle Talbert. Women are the fastest growing segment of entrepreneurs, yet are the least likely to have a mentor or receive the guidance and advice they need. That ends here today. Her Power Hustle is the power resource for women entrepreneurs like you. So whether you're hustling full-time, side hustling, or gearing up to hustle, get ready for a conversation packed with the information and tools you need to hustle on.
Welcome to Her Power Hustle, episode 15. I am Michelle Talbert. I'm so glad that you are joining me today. I want to take one quick moment. At the time of this recording, it is April 29th, and we have seen a bit of uprising in Baltimore with the death at the hands of the police of Freddie Gray. As a mother, as a citizen, as a person of color, as a woman, I care deeply as an American. I care deeply and just want to take a moment to just say that, wherever you are, whoever you are, if we could just operate from a place of love, if we can open up our hearts to understand one another, to have discourse without discord, I think that we could go a really long way in healing a lot of the wounds that many of us are feeling. So I just wanted to take a moment to take note of that and to say that if you ever want to reach out, if you happen to be someone who I am friends with on Facebook, you know that my Facebook page is very active, and we all come from a place of love and understanding and a place of wanting to learn and understand and grow together. Much like I do here on the show with regard to business, I am open to discuss anything with you that you would like to discuss. So feel free to reach out to me, Michelle at herpowerhustle.com. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. I'm everywhere, but I just really wanted to take a moment to say that, a lot of us are hurting right now, and just to acknowledge that pain. So today we are talking with Jason Towns, and he is at CODE2040. You'll hear more about what CODE2040 is with regard to diversity and technology and ensuring that there's a pipeline of diverse people of color and women of color who are entering the entering the field of technology and startups, and CODE2040 is at the forefront of ensuring that happens. You can hear how you can get involved, what this means for your startup. Jason also gives some great advice if you are building a team and you're not a techie, or you are a techie and you're not a marketing person. He really gives some really good nuggets of information and places that you can look locally, because not everyone is located in a major metropolitan city that may have an incubator or co-working spaces or the types of facilities that you may find in larger cities. So he gives some great advice for where you can go to look for that assistance as well and support. And of course, Sister Power Hustlers, as you know, you can always come to me and ask questions, and we can ask each other and reach out to the community. Every Friday, we have Call for Speaker Fridays on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. If you are speaking at an upcoming event, feel free to share that information. You can drop links. If you have ticket information, we really are about supporting one another and growing together, because Her Power Hustle is the place for inspiration and motivation. But we know that there's perspiration involved with being a woman entrepreneur. So this is the place where you can come and sweat and get motivated and inspired and do it all. And we are here to support you. So, and speaking of Support a Sister Saturday is Sassy, as we're calling it. And Sassy days are the days where you can drop information about what you need. Do you need to meet someone? You know, the network is vast. And so you may want to reach out to someone and you don't know whether or not you're connected. And LinkedIn is great for that, but why not reach out to your sister power hustlers as well and see if we can make that connection for you? Do you need a tool? Do you need a resource? Do you need more information? That's what we're here for. That is the entire purpose of Her Power Hustle, is to give you the resources you need so, sister, you can fly, sister, fly. So I am just very excited to get into this conversation with Jason Towns. I look forward to hearing from you. You'll hear from me a little bit more. I have a couple more announcements after the show. I just can't wait to delve in and hear what you think. Without further ado, Jason Towns. Hey, Sister Power Hustlers, just a heads up that this conversation with Jason, if you've listened to the show for any length of time, or as I said, if you're connected with me on Facebook or any other social media, you'll know that in the last month I've relocated to the South Florida area. Now, what came along with that was a schedule for recording that I'd already put in place for months and months with Jason. And so I needed to record with him. And what I thought would be a private, quiet space to record ended up being a little bit more public than had been intended, and there was nothing I could do. So I apologize for the background noise. You'll hear there are people around me talking, and it's just an unfortunate situation, but I think you can still hear Jason quite clearly. So I apologize again for the technical difficulty. Look, we're power hustlers. We bootstrap. We make it work. We make it do what it do, and that's the situation in this case. I had no other place to go. We had a call scheduled, and we had to just run with it. So apologies at the outset, but I still think that the flavor of the call is audible and you can hear it, but apologies for the background noise. Thanks again.
Welcome back to Her Power Hustle. Thank you so much for joining. As usual, we have an amazing guest. I'm just going to get right into his introduction. His name is Jason Towns, and he is with CODE2040. He comes to CODE2040 with 15 years of experience as a founder and advisor to startups, campaigns, and nonprofits. Before heading out to the Bay Area, he sat on the Washington, D.C. Mayor's Tech Roundtable and served as an advisor to Digital D.C., which is an initiative formed to promote and invest in the continued growth of D.C.'s tech ecosystem, of which I am personally thankful to him. I really am excited to have Jason on the call. He enjoys traveling, working on side projects. He's an entrepreneur, a techie. He's all kinds of things that I could tell you about, but I'd rather have him talk to us. Jason Towns, welcome to Her Power Hustle. How are you doing?
Hey, I like that introduction. How much do I owe you for that? Appreciate it. I'm good.
The invoice, actually, I sent it before we even started talking, so check your email.
All right, I'll check that.
So Jason Towns, tell us, first of all, you are a brother in tech, which is awesome and exciting. Tell us a little bit about your background, and you co-founded broadband.com. And so how did you find yourself in tech? How did that come about for you?
Yeah. So I actually stumbled into tech. So way back when, 1,000 years ago, my first job in this industry was actually a sales and business development role, just out of school, not exactly sure what I was looking to do. And I was working with a recruiter, and we're going down a list of roles, and there was just, it's for some reason I felt some energy around this business development position, and she, let me know that, I didn't have enough experience, and I'm new to the industry, and yada, yada, yada. She gave me a long list of reasons why this wasn't a role for me to look at. And I said, you know what, send me on the interview. And if it doesn't work out, then we'll come back and talk about all these other positions that you're trying to push in my direction. And she said, all right, you're not going to learn your lesson, so go for it. And let's talk next week when you get shot down. And actually,
when you get shot down.
Yeah. She was very blunt. But I go out and interview for this role, and again, no real background in tech, but I guess for some reason I was able to convince these folks that they should bring on this young guy that didn't have a lot of experience, And, it ended up being a really good decision. So it was a company called Case Internet in the D.C. area back during the initial tech boom. And, I took on a sales role, and within a couple of months, I got promoted to sales lead, and then a couple of months later to sales manager. And at the end of the day, I was one of their, top-performing sales guys and had been recruited to run their West Coast growth operation. And all of this was relatively new to me, but I got an opportunity to really take a look at what it's like to really be involved in a high-growth tech startup, and being in a sales / biz dev / leadership role gave me some insight into what happens throughout the organization. So, how sales interacts with marketing, interacts with the engineering team, interacts with the leadership of the organization, and all of that became just really, really interesting to me, how all of these pieces come together to form a well-oiled, fast growth, high growth machine. And I think, I just got bit by the startup bug, and I've been, working in and with startups and tech organizations ever since.
So tell us what broadband.com is or was.
Sure.
When you founded that startup. What does it do?
Yeah. So broadband.com was one of the first B2B marketplaces for telecom procurement. So what that really means is, you're a company, whether you're Fortune 500 or even a small business, and you're going to purchase some type of internet, whether it's bandwidth or hosting or whatever the case may be, any of your, telecom needs. Traditionally, you would speak to, a rep at AT&T and then Verizon and then a number of other companies, and you get all these quotes in, and you'd have all these sales reps hounding you, and you'd make some comparisons, and this would typically be a 3 to 8 week process, sometimes longer, and it really just is super annoying on both sides of it. And having some experience from the sales side, but also having some experience on the other side, on the consumer side, I just recognized that it was a really inefficient model. So what we did, I worked with actually a partner of mine who worked with me at Case Internet. We put together a website that allowed for any business to quickly put out a quote for what they needed and then get back one spreadsheet with all of your options in terms of pricing, giving you some background on each company, as well as installation timeframes, and it really just streamlined the process for purchasing telecom services, and just made a lot of sense. And, we didn't necessarily know what we were doing in a lot of ways. We made a lot of mistakes and just stumbled through, but ended up being something that worked, learned a lot from that. And through that, I really recognized that there needed to be some type of a platform or some type of support mechanism for folks who are first-time founders who didn't really know what to do next or didn't really have the way. Some of the real things that I recognize is a need for mentorship, and also just a need for some understanding around the process instead of having to bang your head up against the wall. And this was years before the lean startup movement became really, really popular. So yeah, it really was just banging your head up against a lot of walls, and sometimes some things working and a lot of times things not working, and just kind of going from there and expanding on what worked and letting the stuff that didn't work go by the wayside, and trying not to go too crazy while you're pushing forward to the next milestone.
There are so many things that we could talk with you about, but one thing that I would like to drill down on now with regard to broadband.com is talk to us about team, because part of what, your initial part of the conversation when you were with Case Internet was saying, seeing how sales and tech and marketing and all those pieces come together. And so I know there are people who are listening who are thinking about founding a startup, or are confused because they're like, well, I'm good at marketing, but I don't have an engineering background. So talk to us about how do you put together a team? What are some best practices that people can utilize?
Yeah. So I think one of the key pieces to building out a team is really understanding what your strengths are and being really honest about where your strengths aren't. And I think that, a lot of people fall into the trap of trying to be, like the one-stop shop, or trying to be the everything, and you really can't. I mean, you may be able to do a ton of things, and I'm sure that there's so many, super impressive people out here, but at the end of the day, you usually are really, really proficient at most 2 or 3 things, and you want to hone in on that. And whether it's, whether you're an amazing back-end engineer, or whether you're a great iOS developer, or whether you're a great marketing and growth person, or whatever the case may be, you really want to hone in on what your talents are and find your way to tell that story. And through that, a lot of times you'll attract the type of talent that you need. The other thing, I guess, in looking at growing a team for in terms of a startup organization, even if you're not a technical person per se, you want to put yourself in a position to build out as much as you can of your project, or your MVP, your minimum viable product. And the more you're able to build out and prove that there's actually a market for this idea, or this version of what you're building, the easier it will be for you to sell that vision to the folks who are really going to take that to help you take that from where it is to where you see it being. It really falls down onto being able to prove that this makes sense. I mean, working at a startup, or for a startup, or being an early stage founder or employee is a huge gamble, and sometimes people get caught up in the trap of, you're so in love with this idea, so you've sold yourself on why it makes sense. I mean, you're waking up at 6 in the morning and you're jumping into it and you're ready, but a lot of times we make the mistake of assuming that someone else is going to have that same level of enthusiasm. They're not in your head. They don't understand how amazing what you're building is, or this idea. Mm-hmm. So the more you can really prove that this makes sense, and that you've taken some steps and done your due diligence in terms of proving this out and making sure that it makes that there's a market for it, and that you're meeting a real need, the easier it'll be for you to find folks to work with. And then as you move on, whether it's successful or not, you've gained some credibility, and then it becomes, again, easier to build out a team or to recruit talent. But again, it all falls back on really understanding what it is that you're bringing to the table as a person, and what you're bringing to the table as a concept in terms of building a product.
Well, that's actually a perfect segue to what is near and dear to my heart, and what ended up bringing me to Her Power Hustle, which is the DC Tech ecosystem, right? Mm-hmm. So talk to us about your role and how you ended up working with the mayor's office in DC to really establish what is now a very vibrant tech scene.
Yeah.
Thank you, by the way.
Yeah. No, don't thank me. You should thank folks like the deputy mayor, Vic Hoskins, and Aaron Horn McKinney, who's doing some amazing stuff, and Phil Reeves. These are all folks who. So I'll back up a little bit. So I ended up. I was at the time. This is a few years ago, running an organization called Firebrand Strategic, and we were doing consulting work for nonprofits as well as progressive social impact organizations, and ended up at I was at a funding event talking about helping source funding for nonprofits. I was actually looking to help out one of my clients. So I'm at this event, and the deputy mayor at the time, under Mayor Gray, Victor Hoskins, actually attended this event and kind of introduced himself and just talked about the things that they're doing for the city. And I had been kind of working with a number of nonprofits and startups, just kind of on my own, just doing what I could in terms of working with my clients and working with folks who I knew, just trying to do what I can to be a supportive member of the ecosystem. And ended up meeting the deputy mayor, and the deputy mayor said, "Hey, I like the stuff that you're doing. I want you to talk to Aaron Horn McKinney, who at the time was doing a lot of the tech and innovation stuff for the city. And I connected with Aaron, and honestly, when he said speak to her, I thought that he was I didn't know if he was kind of brushing me off or what the case may be, but I was like, all right, that's cool. And ended up speaking with Aaron, and it was just a really, really impactful relationship. And Erin she's been amazing and has done some really great things in DC. I think she's really low key, so a lot of people don't know that. So I don't mind touting her horn a little bit. Erin she really kicks ass, and I was able to work with and through her to have some impact in the city and to have and to help more founders and startups from folks who come from maybe a not so traditional tech background actually gain a little bit of traction in the city, or just get the leg up that you need and get the support that you need and find out where those resources are. So yeah, I'm actually really excited about the future of the startup ecosystem in DC. Things are looking good, and that's a special thing.
Absolutely, and I'm really glad you said that, because it is very vibrant in the quote-unquote mainstream way, but it's also vibrant with regard to people who, like you said, don't have necessarily traditional tech backgrounds. For example, the RISE, R-I-S-E Center, which is now located in Southeast DC, is really bringing amazing events and opportunities right into the neighborhood, and people can come in and take part in a lot of great events there. And we got to shout out like Code for Progress and DC Web Women. I mean, we have these amazing places now where people can go to learn code and things like that. And I'm just saying that because I have to shout them out. Just like you said, these are really important organizations to recognize. So then that takes us, now let's go to the left coast. So tell us about, we're talking now diversity and tech and entrepreneurship, which lands you now next at Code, well, not necessarily next, but now at Code 2040. So talk to us about the fellowship program. What is Code 2040 and what is your role at 2040?
Sure. So Code 2040 is an organization based in San Francisco, founded by Tristan Walker and Laura Wyman Powers. And the reason they founded this organization was to help support the growth of to help support the careers of our tech talent coming out of the Black and Latino communities. And we started with one program, which is the Fellows Program, where we took some of the over the last 3 years, we've taken some of the top computer science students from the Black and Latino communities, and we bring them out to the Bay and connect them to some amazing high-impact internships, and also helping to help them build out relationships here in the Bay to help support their careers as they move from being a student to being a full-time employee, and then navigating through that career. I mean, one of the things that we found is that you really have to build a community around yourself to sustain yourself as a professional, and just as a person, especially when you're operating in a space that may be foreign to you, or where you may be you just may be a minority in so many ways, as we're working to bring a wider array of folks into the industry. So helping to build out those resources and helping to support those students has been amazing. And over those 3 years, Code 2040 has built some, I guess there's some learnings that come from running a program like that. And through these learnings, we're now starting to branch out into a couple of other programs that allow us to have some impact outside of the Bay Area, and one of those being the program that I was recruited to run, and that's the Code 2040 residency, or also known as our Entrepreneur in Residence program. And through that program, we are taking an approach where we're looking to support the growth of more diverse, inclusive entrepreneurial ecosystems nationwide, but we're starting in 3 pilot cities. And those cities are Durham, North Carolina, Chicago, Illinois, as well as Austin, Texas. And, in each of those cities, we're funding and supporting an entrepreneur in residence. They'll work out of a tech hub in that city. We have a partner tech hub in that city, so we're partnering with Google for Entrepreneurs on this project, and Google for Entrepreneurs has a network of tech hubs, so we're leveraging that relationship to build out the program. And each of the hubs have amazing teams in place, and they're really, really working hard at making sure that their spaces are open and available and accessible to folks from different backgrounds. And one of the, every background, and one of these initiatives that they're looking at helping or looking at growing to help build that out is our residency. So we'll have, the entrepreneur in residence in each of these hubs. And while on one side we'll be supporting their entrepreneurial efforts, supporting their startup and giving them some training in terms of growing their venture, on the other side, they'll also be spending some time building out programming and resources within those hubs to allow or to support a wider range of entrepreneurial talent as we look to make these cities and these spaces more inclusive. So it's exciting. It's a pilot, so we're making some assumptions, and then we're going to test them out and prove some of these things out. And it's been good. We recently announced the program and our 3 EIRs down at South by Southwest. We threw a party with Google for Entrepreneurs. It was really great at the Capital Factory, which is a big co-working space down there. We're off and running, so we're really excited about it.
That's super exciting. And how do you determine who are eligible to be fellows? What kinds of fellows are you looking for?
Well, for the fellows, we have the fellows program, and then we have the entrepreneur in residence program.
Okay.
So you're asking about the
entrepreneurs and residence. Yeah, I guess. To the extent we have listeners who would be interested in one or the other, they can definitely obviously check out code2040.org, which will be on the show notes at herpowerhustle.com/diversity in tech. But go ahead and tell folks what you look for in fellows and what you look for in entrepreneurs in residence.
Yeah, so for the EIRs, or the entrepreneurs in residence, we're really looking for folks who are building out a tech or tech-enabled startup in that city or in that region. But we're also looking for someone who not only is going to be a kick-ass founder and really scrappy and really willing to dig down and grow this company, but we're also looking for someone that has the capacity to help the broader diverse tech ecosystem within that city. So it's an interesting role where you want to have some what you're going to have what it takes to really be a founder and to really go through the ups and downs of getting a venture off the ground, but you also want to have some capacity for empathy around building out a more diverse startup ecosystem in your city. So it's finding the right person that has both sides of that in spades. And we went through several hundred applications, and there's some amazing. I'll be the first to say that there are some amazing Black and Latino led startups in this country that we'll all probably be hearing about in the next years to come. But we think that we've chosen some 3 really, really great folks, and you can absolutely read about them on our website. And that's how we've done. That's how we led that process. And then for the fellows on the other side, we're really just looking for high-performing computer science students from all over the country, as well as Puerto Rico. So that program's been running for the last 3 years, and it's there's an application process, and I think our folks do a really good job of vetting applications and figuring out who's the best fit, and we also give feedback to those who apply but may not have been selected, so that they can walk away with some actionable advice moving forward.
So, Jason, why is diversity even important? In fact, why does it matter? I mean, you're there, you're successful. Tristan was at Foursquare, and he was EIR over at Andreessen Horowitz, and there are people who are doing it in the Bay. Why do we need these focus programs for diversity?
Yeah, so a couple of things there. One, I mean, I can just tell you, just from spending the last couple of months moving across the country and traveling throughout these different cities and talking to entrepreneurs and young founders in all of these cities, you would be surprised at how many early stage founders from our communities decided to start the venture that they're working on now because they read about or saw a Tristan Walker and learned about what he's doing at Bevel, or learned about the work that he did beforehand, or just learned about his role as an EIR over at Andreessen before Bevel. So I say that to say, we have to do a better job of highlighting what success in tech looks like for our folks in our communities. And to do that, we're going to need to, we need more of us in this industry. We need more of us pursuing tech as a career, or pursuing startups as a career. And it's just, there are a number of programs that are supporting, again, the growth of more inclusive entrepreneurial ecosystems, and we're looking to play our role in that. And the young people of today need to be inspired and need to see this as a viable option. And there's some amazing people out here doing it, including Tristan, including Laura, who's our CEO over here, including a number of people. But we have to do a really good job of making sure that makes it to our communities, to our young people. And there's some great groups doing some great things. So I think we're happy to be able to play a role there as well.
So speaking of that, and I think, I really applaud what CODE2040 is doing. Also, Catherine Finney, who's the founder of Digital Undivided, has recently launched a new project, Project Diane, named after Diane Nash from the Civil Rights era, that is looking to match Black women founders and count them and find them and kind of aggregate and let people know we're here. So what are your thoughts on projects like Project Diane and other projects and initiatives of that nature?
I'm excited about what Catherine is working on, and I actually had a chance to meet her for the first time, I think, down at South by Southwest. Yeah, and it was, I've been following her work for some time. It's amazing, and I'm quick to tell anyone that, there have been a number of women in tech, and particularly women of color in tech, but that have helped guide my career. Many of my mentors happen to be women in this industry, and we don't do a good enough job of raising them up, and we don't do a great enough job, particularly around women of color, particularly around Black women in the tech industry, of making sure that we are highlighting the work that they're doing and the amazing ventures that they're running and scaling. So to have this project where you're bringing those women together and you're highlighting the work that they're doing and you're quantifying that work and being able to put some metrics behind this, that's exciting to me. And I think Catherine's background lends itself to that. I think she, I'm excited that she looks at everything from a metrics-driven lens, and that's what we need right now. So Yeah, I'm excited about it, and I've actually referred like a couple of my friends over to Project Diane. So, and I'll continue to do so. I think she's doing some good work.
I'm really excited about it. And like I said, we'll have links to all of this on the show notes, herpowerhustle.com/diversity in tech. And so, Jason, there was a big announcement just a few days prior to us recording this conversation by Stanford. I'm a Cornellian. Like, I am Big Red all the way. And I remember when a lot of schools, Cornell was one of them, that went to providing free tuition for students whose parents or families made less than $60K a year. And Stanford just announced $125K gets you free tuition. Do you feel that this is going to have an impact, or have you seen an impact from other free tuition programs, especially with regarding tech and engineering?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to have some impact. I think it's going to open up some doors for some families that the door may not have been open, that it may not have been open for before. Look, I mean, I know, there's always a debate around these schools, but Stanford has a really long-standing tradition for really putting a strong focus on entrepreneurship and tech entrepreneurship at that. And I think that this opens up the door to give that support to a wider range of students coming from other backgrounds. And, look, Tristan and Laura met at Stanford. So, I mean, and if they hadn't ever met, we may not have ever had CODE2040. I may not be here in a position to do the work that I'm doing right now. So, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely excited about that. And I just think on a broader level, we have to find ways, and, whether this is through education or through, collegiate education or otherwise, we have to find ways to educate and inspire a much wider range of people if we want to continue to have the type of impact that we need to have as a community, as a country, and our nations and the world demographic is changing, and if we don't make sure that we're providing resources to support and align ourselves with that, then we're, I don't think we're doing ourselves a disservice. So I say all that to say I'm excited. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about other schools beginning to fall in line around making sure that, people who don't come from the wealthiest backgrounds still have access to an amazing education. So
tell us what else you're excited about. What are you excited about that I haven't asked you about that would be of interest to our listeners today?
Let's see. I mean, I just say stay tuned. For me personally, I'm dedicating my life to supporting entrepreneurship in our communities and making sure that we're not only supporting our top performing amazing founders from non-traditional communities, particularly Black and Latino communities, but that I'm also hopefully doing the work of inspiring our young people to pursue startup life as an option. I mean, it's an exciting world, and sometimes it bothers me that so many of our creative and hungry and driven young people don't find this path before they find other paths. So that's just a part of that's a part of what I want to work on. That's a part of what I'm excited about, and again, just the work that we're doing over here at CODE2040 with the Entrepreneur in Residence program is a pilot that we're hoping to expand. So, I would say just stay tuned. We've got some real powerful things in the cooker. So just stay tuned.
So for folks who aren't in DC or the Bay Area, where are some places that you think that people can start to seek out diverse communities or tech communities, or do you have ideas or suggestions?
Yeah, honestly, I would say and it's may not apply for everywhere, but, start something and they come, and whether it's a meetup group, whether you're launching a product and you just put the word out there and see if you can generate some energy around it. At the end of the day, you just want to either start or find something that started and align yourself with that. And there's also a lot of conversation online around, just supporting more diverse tech ecosystems and communities. So, I would say head online, take a look at what's going on, check the conversation, start a meetup group, start something, try to build that community wherever you are. And I mean, it can literally be as small as 5 to 7 people, but just start the conversation and find ways to support others who are doing, amazing things in your mind, in your community. So much of what I've been able to do and accomplish has really stemmed from just being willing to support people that I believe in. And, there's not always a big check that comes at the end of that. But if you're really passionate about what you're doing and you believe in that, or you believe in that person that you're doing some things for or with, amazing things come out of that. And, I'm a testament to that. And, yeah, and then people can always reach me at JHTDC on Twitter, or reach us at CODE2040, CODE2040 on Twitter as well. Actually on all social media channels. But I would say just look out. And I'll be back to DC pretty soon. I'll be visiting. I'll come back for a visit, I think, at the end of this month, if I'm not mistaken. So.
All right. Well, we have one last question that I always like to ask the men who call, who I have conversations with. And then you and I have a little bit of a contentious chief that we have to hash out a little bit before I let you go. So tell us, what is your favorite song or movie about love or romance?
Wow.
Thinking about wearing those fancy sandals, but self-conscious about the look of your feet? Worried about the discoloration left on your toes after callus removal? Ladies, put your best foot forward with the incredible Corn Concealer. 3 gorgeous matte shades that give the coverage and look you need. No one will know you have a corn. The incredible Corn Concealer is waterproof and lasts up to 24 hours. Get terrific feet with the incredible Corn Concealer. Visit tajjcosmetics.com.
So I bet you've never heard of Corn Concealer before. Head over to herpowerhustle.com/diversity in tech and find out more about this innovative product. Back to the episode.
All right. Well, we have one last question that I always like to ask the men who call, who I have conversations with. And then you and I have a little bit of a contentious chief that we have to hash out a little bit before I let you go. So tell us, what is your favorite song or movie about love or romance?
Wow. Favorite movie about love and romance.
Or song.
Let me think. I think I'll go old school. I'm going to say Purple Rain might be the one.
Nice.
Does that count?
Interesting. Is that good? Right. That's good. I don't judge. I get all kinds of answers. I never judge. I don't put you on the couch to ask you why. I just ask the movie. That's it. We get in, get on, get out. Okay, so now here's our little bone we have to pick, because you and I are both hip-hop aficionados.
Absolutely.
And I understand you're on the quest for the best hip-hop album. So as of today's date, what would you say would be the best hip-hop album out there, sir?
Ever or out right now?
I would say ever from your perspective. So we can go old school, new school, whatever you think is the best album.
I think Nas's Illmatic album was as close to a perfect hip-hop album as we'll get.
Okay. Well, I'll give you that. You know, our contention is that I like Blueprint 3, which makes no sense to anybody but me, but I don't care.
I mean, go with that. I think you go with that. Yeah, stand by your guns. You're probably going to have to defend that pretty often, but that's fine. You know what I'm saying? It's good to have controversial ideas. That's awesome.
That's what I do, man.
No, I think that makes sense. Great album. I think Jay-Z is an amazing artist. done some amazing things in business and in art. So yeah.
Well, title, we didn't even talk about title, right? I mean, that would be a whole entire different show. But quickly, what are your thoughts? Do you have a quick 2 minutes on title? Do you have an opinion or any thoughts on it yet?
Yeah, I'll say. I mean, what title really highlighted for me, and hopefully highlights to a lot of other people, is the power of the convergence of music and tech, and these things keep coming closer and closer and colliding in a lot of different ways. So that's pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited about that. In terms of the title itself, I'm excited about the potential, but I'm confused at, I haven't figured out why I would start using this versus Spotify right now. So, I'm a little confused. The launch was a little bit confusing for me, but, they say if, you launch anything, if you're not embarrassed by the launch, then you took too long to launch it anyway. So I think that they're going to learn. Yeah, I think that they're going to learn a lot from the positive and negative feedback related to the launch, and I think they're well positioned and well financed in a way that they can take what they've learned and pivot as they need to and really make something of this. But as of right now, I think the verdict is still out. But I'm excited about what's going on. I'm excited about seeing more artists and entertainers looking at the option of pursuing business and investing in startups and in tech. I think that there's a lot of power there, particularly when it comes to looking at founders from our community. So yeah, there's some good stuff going on, and I think I'll leave it at that.
Cool. I think that's a good place to leave it, Mr. Towns. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for joining Her Power Hustle. It was so great chatting with you. I just really appreciate all that you've done, all that you're continuing to do, and if there's any way we can serve as a resource to you, we're here.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate what you are doing. So, keep doing your thing, keep inspiring women all over the world. And let's keep making it happen. I'm excited.
No doubt. All right. Thanks so much, Jason. Take care.
All right. Take it easy.
You too. Bye-bye.
So I really hope you got some great takeaways from that conversation. Jason is really forthcoming, and he's open to, you reaching out to him on Twitter and Instagram, reaching out to CODE2040. If you'd like to get involved, if you'd like more information, please head over to the show notes at herpowerhustle.com/diversity in tech, and you can get all the information and links that we mentioned there. I mentioned a number of organizations in D.C., Project Diane. You can see the article on the Stanford free tuition article, and just get generally more information that we discussed. So again, you can head over to herpowerhustle.com/diversity in tech. This is episode 15 of the show. If you notice, we do a power boost at every episode, and you can hear that I like to highlight a woman-owned business. And if you are a woman-owned business and you would like to be highlighted on the show in your own words, please feel free to reach out to me at Michelle at herpowerhustle.com, and that's Michelle with 2 L's and an E, MICHELLE at herpowerhustle.com, and you can find out more information about submitting your materials to be featured on the show. It is not anything that I am paid for. These are not paid sponsorship spots. This is a give back to the community that you can share about your business on Her Power Hustle so that we can all support you. And you don't have to necessarily have a business in place. If you have a book coming out, if you have something going on and you'd like support from the community, reach out. Let's support one another. We don't have to only do that on Saturdays. So I look forward to speaking with you on the next episode. The next episode, actually, we're featuring Anthony Trucks. Anthony Trucks has an amazing business centered around hustling, of course, and really just getting into the mindset and what it means to hustle and believe in your hustle and trust your hustle. So I think that'll be a really great conversation for you to tune into. But until then, I look forward to hearing from you. Feel free to reach out at Michelle at herpowerhustle.com. And of course, you can catch up with us on all of our social media platforms. If you enjoyed the show, if you didn't enjoy the show, head over to herpowerhustle.com/iTunes. Drop us a review. Let us know what you think. We'd really appreciate it. Positive, negative, we just want to hear from you. So thanks so much, and I'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Her Power Hustle podcast, produced and hosted by Michelle Talbert, with voiceover talent by Sean Belton and music by Taman Hade. All of the resources discussed on this episode can be found on the Her Power Hustle website. That's at herpowerhustle.com. And now, here's today's Her Power Hustle Power Boost.